Reader's Theater is called Eleanore Roosevelt and Marian Anderson. And the characters are
Tall, Jake, concert conductor, goer, Marian Anderson, Alice Anderson, Eleanore Roosevelt, Lorraine Hickok.
And now our Reader's Theater begins.
Hello everyone, welcome to WBEC CBC. You're right there. We'll take you back in time to meet important people in history. Today, we will go back to 1939 to witness an important event in civil rights. Eleanore Roosevelt, the wife of the President Franklin Roosevelt, has invited the famous African-American singer Marian Anderson to Washington, D.C. He has arranged for Miss Anderson to perform a concert at the Lincoln Memorial. Hey Jake, you're on the steps of the memorial. Take it away.
Thanks, Tom. I'm excited to be on my first WBEC assignment. But why is a concert such an important event?
Ask the people you are visiting. You'll find out.
Good advice, Tom. Here's a concert goer. Excuse me, miss. I'm a reporter. May I ask you a few questions?
Ask away. It sure is a beautiful morning for a concert.
It certainly is. But why is this concert so special? Hasn't Marian Anderson performed before?
Sure, she's one of the most popular singers in the country. She has performed all over Europe. She has even sung at the White House.
What makes today so special?
A few weeks ago, Miss Anderson was going to sing at the Constitution Hall in Washington, D.C., but the organization that runs it would not let an African American sing there.
I don't understand. People are not allowed at certain places because they are African Americans?
That's how it is.
But she sang at the White House. Why wouldn't they let her sing in the Constitution Hall?
I don't know the whole story. All I know is that Miss Roosevelt invited Miss Anderson to perform here in Washington, D.C. at the Lincoln Memorial. It's going to be very exciting. Her singing is filled with emotion.
Thanks for your help and enjoy the show. I'm beginning to see why the concert is so important, Liz. I understand that you're backstage with Miss Anderson. I'm turning the program over to you.
Thanks, Jake. We're here to talk with Marian Anderson and her sister Alice. Could you tell us how you became a performer, Miss Anderson? Ever since I was a little girl, I have loved to sing. When I was 6, I joined our church choir. My other sister, Eleanore, and I sang in the same choir, but none of us had Marian's voice. It is so strong and soulful. I treat my singing voice as a gift. I like to share it with the world. Plus, I have been lucky and had good people help me along the way. Our church raised money so that Marian could pay for singing lessons. I got my big break when I won an important singing contest in New York. There were more than 300 people in the contest. After that, I performed in Europe. I was at the Paris Opera House a few years ago. I even performed for President and Miss Roosevelt. That must have been exciting. It was one of the most special moments in my life. So why weren't you allowed to sing at the Constitution Hall? This sort of thing happens often in the United States, especially to African Americans. I just try to ignore it and get on with my singing. Has this sort of thing happened before? Oh yes. After high school, my sister wanted to go to a special music school in Philadelphia where we grew up, but they would not let her in, despite her talent. They would not even let me apply. They said they did not take African Americans. I was very disappointed. It also made me sad because for me, music is about joy. But Marian didn't give up. She kept on singing. A famous voice teacher took an interest in me. He helped me start my career. He got me into prizes in New York City. He was also one who took me to Europe. It's a lot easier for African Americans to live like that. Would you say that African Americans face discrimination in America? I'm afraid so. When I travel across the country, I take my own car instead of riding on trains. I stay with friends to avoid problems. What kind of problems? Once I was performing at a fancy hotel in Los Angeles. Normally, I would not have been allowed to stay in that hotel because I am an African American, but they had let me have a room. I still had to be served and kiss my back. And of course, I wasn't allowed to eat in the hotel dining room because it was for white people only. That's terrible. How do you put up with such behavior? Those aren't the current laws of America, in the United States. All I can do is let my students speak for me. I think that music is a language everyone can understand. And in the long run, that is what I hope people remember me. I want them to think of me as someone whose music brought people closer together. Thank you so much for your time, Ms. Anderson. Tom, back to you with the WBEC News.
Thanks, Liz. It is close to the concert time. I hear there are going to be about 75,000 people attending. The concert is going to be broadcast across the nation on radio. The segment is building. Let's go back to Jacob on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. He is ready to interview with Lady Eleanore Roosevelt.
Thank you, Tom. I'm here with Eleanore Roosevelt and her friend Lorna Hickok. Good morning, Miss Roosevelt, Miss Hickok.
Good morning. I'm so happy to talk about this wonderful concert.
Can you explain why you chose the Lincoln Memorial for this concert?
It's very simple. President Lincoln freed the slaves in 1862. That was nearly 80 years ago. But many people still did not have the freedom President Lincoln wanted them to have. So it makes sense to choose his memorial for this location of the concert. Its purpose is to promote equality for all.
Can you tell us about the Constitution Hall concert that was canceled? No one has been able to tell us exactly what happened.
A group called the DAR owns Constitution Hall. Miss Roosevelt was upset because the whole world would not let Miss Anderson sing there.
What is a DAR?
The letters stand for Daughters of the American Revolution. Members can trace their ancestors back to the American Revolution. Miss Roosevelt was a member. Yes, I was a member for many years, but not anymore. When they said Miss Anderson could not sing there, I resigned. I was angry about that decision. That is not what the DAR should stand for. We fought the revolution so everyone could have equal rights. Miss Roosevelt writes a weekly newspaper column called My Day. She wrote about why she resigned from the DAR in her column. It's been printed in the newspaper all over the country. I wrote, I am in complete disagreement with the attitude taken in refusing Constitution Hall to a great artist. You had an opportunity to lead in an English way, and it seems that your organization has failed.
Wow, those are strong words.
Well, they are strong feelings. The DAR hasn't answered yet, but I hope they will start thinking about how unfair they are being. Miss Roosevelt has spent her whole life working for civil rights. I've been helping for the past few years. I travel around the country. In the past few years, I traveled report back to the President Roosevelt. Lorena is a fine reporter. She shows us how people are being treated across the country. As First Lady, I can draw attention to people in need. Miss Roosevelt has always had an interest in helping others. It started years ago when she was a young woman. It began in New York City back in 1903. I was 19. I worked in a settlement house. This was a place where needy people could get food, clothing, and medical care. They also got people finding jobs. Your husband joined you there, right? We weren't married then, but Franklin came with me. He saw the terrible conditions these people were living in. Of course, he wasn't president then, but he never forgot those days. Ever since he got elected in 1932, we have kept working to help others.
Thank you, ladies. Listen, I think Miss Anderson has started signing.
My country is something sweet land of liberty as the eye sees. I would know that vibrant voice anywhere, and it comes from a woman of such grace and dignity.
I'm giving the program back to you, Tom, in the studio. Too bad that WBEC can't actually broadcast the concert for everyone to hear.
We agree, Jake. But right now we have some late breaking news. Buzz has just returned from 1949. He has an up-to-the-minute report on the DAR.
The DAR has finally apologized for not letting Marian Anderson sing in the Constitution Hall back in 1939. They said that they wish they could rewrite history and change what they did. But of course, they can't.
No, but it is never too late to right it wrong and change for the better. I'm happy to hear about the apology.
I've also learned that Marian Anderson did sing at the Constitution Hall a few years after the concert at Burlington Memorial. So Miss Roosevelt's actions must have made some people change their minds right away.
That's right, Liz. Marian Anderson and Eleanore Roosevelt made history with this concert. They showed how important it is to treat everyone as equals.
And that's a lesson they taught throughout their entire lives.
This is WBEC signing off for now. Join us again as we take you back to meet important people in history.
The end.